This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails, garner great pet tips, and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. There is a reason ticks rhyme with ick. They are icky. And they've been on our planet for eons. They're always looking to grab a blood meal from you, your dog, your cat. But guess what? We have a tick superhero on our show today. He will arm us with tips and tricks and some tick puns. Wait for it. Yep. To help us deal with this nasty beast. So at this time, please give pause and applause. He's called Tick Man Dan Wolff. But we got to pay for this show by taking a quick break. We'll be right back.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
Pet Greens is proud to support Oh Behave on Pet Life Radio. Our small family farm produces live organic cat grass, catnip, and soft chew treats packed with green nutrition to help your pets truly thrive inside. We're partnering with pioneer cat behavior expert and best-selling author Pam Johnson-Bennett to help indoor cats live their best lives with indoor enrichment tips for their parents.
I'm very careful about the products that I choose because I have built a reputation over 4 decades where cat parents trust me and they know that when I recommend a brand or talk about a particular product, they know it came from my heart and I really believe it. I've done my research with Pet Greens. I love the products. I love the quality. And one of the things that I feel just stands out is the education that Pet Greens provides. They guide you every step of the way. It's a relationship. I know how much they love cats and how much they love cat welfare and cat health, and that's their motivation.
For more information on the benefits of cat grass and catnip for your cat's indoor enrichment, visit petgreens.com.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now, back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thank you, Arden. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad that we got introduced by some mutual friends and happy to spread the good word about ticks.
Yeah, we're going to give a shout out. Jared and Kara Armour, they live in Massachusetts, as does Tick Man Dan, and they introduced me about you. So I'm delighted. I'm ready to dig in to talk about ticks. But before I do, this show also goes on YouTube. And so, Dan, you need to tell people, for the ones just listening, what are you wearing?
Well, this is a tick tee.
Tick t-shirt, okay.
And it's part of my uniform as Tick Man Dan. And the idea is certainly not to make fun of anything, but it's to get noticed.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Even when I'm wandering around, if I can get somebody to just look at it and go, "Ooh, what is that?" I can tell them. A lot of people actually mistaken ticks for spiders. And so when I'm walking around, a lot of people go, "Oh, that's a gross spider." And then I get a chance to engage in a conversation with them and let them know that, no, this is a tick and how dangerously it can be.
There's other things that you have on you that are also tick related.
Yes. I often refer to this to tell my time. And
well, tell people that are just listening as a podcast, what is that you're holding up?
It's my tick watch, and it has an adult female deer tick on it. And when you listen to it, it says tick, 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 tick. And I also have, and I'm going to show you my very sexy legs. So
Okay, guys, settle
be
down, everybody.
careful. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. Who's showing his calf? Oh my God, 2 ticks.
The tick tattoos that I have. This is a Lone Star, and this is a deer tick. And
Oh
so
my
I have
God.
those tattooed on my leg. So actually, when I talk to people, I tell them, "Oh, and by the way, I have 2 ticks on my leg right now," and they go, "No." I go, "Yes, I promise you, I have 2 ticks on my leg." And then I pull up my pants, and the joke is revealed.
I'm so glad it's on your calf muscle.
Well, you don't know where my other ones are.
I'm not asking, well, the show is called Oh Behave.
Yes.
But the point is this, we're joking, but sometimes humor is needed to get out good safety information, right?
Absolutely, and that's been my philosophy, as it appears as though is your philosophy as well. It's really important to have something that people will remember. So
Okay.
while we're entertaining, we're also providing good information, which is the most important part. But we want it to be memorable, and that's the key.
And the reason we asked you on the show is because you're also an inventor. So you're not only interested in the ticks, but you're also interested in how to remove ticks. And so some people just say, well, yeah, we'll do something. You did something. Can you bring us back to what you invented, what it was called, and what it is now called?
Sure, sure. That's a good question. And it's an interesting story. At some point in my past, I was a divorced single dad of 2 boys and 2 dogs.
Okay.
That would be Charlie and Champ. And I became an avid outdoorsman. So I spent a lot of time in the woods in eastern Massachusetts. And as many people know, the Northeast and the upper Midwest are really hot spots and have been historically in the U.S. for ticks, and in particular, reported cases of Lyme disease. So I really didn't think much about it when I was growing up in Maryland, back in the 70s. Never even encountered a tick. And even when I was a young man, when we moved to the Boston area in 1977, when I was 13, so now I'm telling you how old I am.
I've done the math.
We never encountered them, but about 25 years ago, people started getting Lyme in our area. I started seeing more and more ticks, and it's only gotten much, much worse since then. And there's a variety of reasons for that. And I was concerned because my 10-year-old Matt came down one day and I noticed that he had a tick stuck in his back. And by the way, I've been personally bitten by deer ticks in excess of 250 times. And that's
just the species deer tick.
Deer ticks, yes. I've never
wow.
had any Lone Stars or dog ticks on me that I am aware of. And so, for me, hey, whatever, I pull it off, not knowing how to do it correctly. But then when my son got a tick on him, I was more concerned.
Of course.
Now it's him.
Yeah,
and
it's Matt.
I started looking online. I started doing research. I became obsessed and fascinated with ticks. And from that point on, I've never stopped looking at them and studying them. And I've had an opportunity to remove, I'm guessing, in excess of 3,000 live ticks from their hosts with every method possible. Because one thing I did discover that was very relevant and very in my face was that there's so many different people telling you different things about what to do when you find an attached tick.
It is. You're swimming in a pool of misinformation and probably with the abundance of ticks. So, you said all different. We're going to get into some of that in a minute, but I want people to know you invented something. What did you invent?
I did. Well, first of all, I want to tell you, I'm no rocket scientist here. I just think simple is better. And
I agree.
That's the philosophy that I found online regarding tick removal. And the most recommended method from the top organizations and experts that I found was simply using a fine tip tweezer to grasp the tick down at the skin surface, grasp it firmly, and lift straight up. And so I was thinking to myself, this is great. I'm going to go buy tick tweezers online. But what I found was there were no tick tweezers or, specifically for removing ticks. And the fine tip tweezers that I found could range in price from $10 to $100, depending on what, type of tweezer you got. But I also did find value in what they call a scoop method, which seems ideal for removing larger engorged ticks, mainly from animals, because typically we find them after they're engorged because their ticks are harder to find on fur-covered creatures. So I did note that that was a good method as well, given the right circumstances. And by circumstances, I mean the right size tick in the right area on the dog or cat or pet or animal's body, because you can't really scoop out a tiny nymphal stage deer tick with a scoop when it's lodged right in the crevice of the dog's ear or in the crotch or that area. So I thought that this was a good thing to do. And so I just kind of started sketching some designs. And what I found was that if you took a sharp tweezer, you could see that. And for all the non-video users here, it is a tweezer with a 45-degree angle, and it's very sharp at the end. So that would be the perfect tool to use. And I've had to use these on nymphal stage ticks, which are incredibly small.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they have fed on occasion in my belly button, on the inner wall of my belly button.
Wait a minute. What is your motto?
My motto is do your daily tick checks and don't neglect your crevices.
That means belly buttons.
Yes, belly buttons, crevices, groin area, behind the ears, in the ears, and other tight places. So when you have an angled pointy tweezer like this, it's just perfect for being able to go in there. It's not so easy if it's a straight tip tweezer.
I like that.
If that's all you have, then by all means use it, because the trick is to get the tick out as soon as possible.
Isn't it about like 24 hours or less is the best?
I don't believe that at all. I think 1 second is too long that a tick is attached, because there's a lot going on. I mean, if we had more time, I could get into the
I know, and I wish
stuff.
we did. But so what is this called? How do people get their paws on it?
Well, let me tell you about the backside. Here's the scoop side. And this side is also angled, and it's perfect for sliding under the tick and simply lifting up. So if you have a squirmy dog or a cat that doesn't really want you messing around with them too much, like my dog Henry, you're able to kind of surprise them and just go in real quick, slide it in, and pop it up. But again, only if it's in the right place and it's the right size of tick. So I originally invented this product, and it was called Tickies, the only two-sided tweezer available. And I was fortunate enough to come in contact with a company called Bug Bite Thing after I saw them get a deal with Lori Grenier on Shark Tank.
Oh, I like her. Yeah.
And I reached out to them because they had a suction tool that's designed to relieve the pain and itching of insect bites and bee stings and so forth, particularly mosquitoes. So one thing led to another, and lo and behold, they bought my company last summer, and they are now rebranding the Tickies product to what's called the Bug Bite Thing Tick Remover. And we're just starting to get that out in the mass markets and other platforms for sales. So I'm doing a lot of content here.
Everyone, we're speaking with Dan Wolff. He's better known as Tick Man Dan. And we're going to dig into tick trivia, the new definition of tick tock. We already found it on his watch, and more after we take this break. So keep your pets away from ticks. We'll be right back.
Time for a walk on the red carpet, of course. Oh, Behave will be back in a flash right after these messages.
Pause up, pet pals. Arden Moore here, your host of the Oh Behave Show. Me? Wow. Did you know there's up to 100 million free roaming cats in the United States? And without spay or neuter, that number is only going to keep growing. Not only does spay neuter humanely reduce the community cat population, it keeps cats healthy. Scooter, the neuter cat, is on a mission to give cats an extra life by making it hip to be snipped. Hey, check them out. Go to givethem10.org. That's givethem10.org, and help us make this a better world for cats.
Ready for the biggest cat celebration in the world? Come to the CFA International Cat Show and Expo in Cleveland, Ohio on October 12th and 13th. The expo is the world's grandest cat celebration, seamlessly blending pedigree cat exhibitions with feline welfare and rescue initiatives. It captivates over 10,000 feline enthusiasts each year, celebrating all cats, whether rescue or pedigreed, in a shared spirit of love and unity. Dive into cat-themed activations and enlightening educational sessions. Marvel at 1,000 non-pedigree and pedigreed cats, adoptable felines, and explore over 100 cat-themed vendors. It's an event dedicated to honoring our beloved felines and their admirers. And guess what feline influencers are coming to meet and greet? YouTube cat video sensation Aaron's Animals, as well as Nathan the Cat Lady, Lambo Leisha, Choopy, and many, many more. Gather your cat crew and do whatever it takes to head to the CFA Cat Expo. It's a whisker-wiggling, tail-twirling extravaganza you won't want to miss. Get your tickets at cfacatexpo.com. That's CFACATEXPO.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Holy hound dog! Hi, this is Bert Ward, and you're listening to the Oh Behave Show with Arden Moore on Pet Life Radio. Listen every week, same pet time, same pet channel.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to Oh Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I have been looking forward to this guest all week. He is Dan Wolff, better known as Tick Man Dan. And I was going on the sites. You work with some brainiacs, and I think it's Rhode Island University. Is that the one you're working with, or which one are you working with?
Yes, one of the universities I work with is University of Rhode Island. Their tickencounter.org site and program is, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, for content and information and prevention and awareness.
And your own father, the bug to know science and to help, it's genetic, right?
Well, probably not quite as genetic as I'd like. Unfortunately, he passed away in the mid-90s, but before he died, he was the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. So he was a big guy in research on infectious disease and public health, and certainly being in that same realm of infectious disease, because Lyme disease right now is the fastest growing vector-borne illness in the country.
And isn't it named after some place in Connecticut?
That's correct. It's named after Lyme, Connecticut, where another contact friend of my father's was at Yale, and they were noticing that there was a concentration of pediatric arthritis cases, a cluster of them, so to speak, in I think it was the mid-70s. And so it brought that to the attention of the public health people. And the gentleman from Yale, Dr. Sam Thier, had dispatched one of his guys, Alan Steer, out to discover and figure out what was going on. And as a result, they found the Borrelia bacteria.
Wow.
And then it was deemed Lyme disease.
All right. I've been waiting for this all week. Time to play a little game, Tick Trivia. You ready, Mr. Tick Man Do?
I'm ready.
Mr. Tick Man Dan? Okay. All right. True or false? Ticks jump.
False.
All right. How do they get on our bodies and on the bodies of our pets?
Yes. Ticks are physically incapable of jumping, flying, or transporting themselves onto you magically. Ticks have two methods of getting on you depending on the type of tick.
Okay.
All ticks are equipped with sensory organs that detect the host in some way or another. Like a mosquito.
Like a spidey sense, like Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, more like a mosquito. They can sense carbon dioxide and heat and movement, vibrations, that kind of thing.
Wow.
But not all tick species have a very developed sensory system.
Okay.
For example, the Lone Star tick, which is an aggressive, fast-moving, what we call hunter, will seek you out and destroy you.
Oh, he's kind of like the wasp versus a bee. Wasps are nasty. They keep hitting you. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could
Oh,
say
that's
that.
cool.
Yeah. So these Lone Star ticks who are not known for commonly carrying Lyme disease, more for something called alpha gal syndrome, which is horrible because it gives you a red meat allergy pretty much for life
Wow.
for some
Wow.
people. And that's a big one because I do enjoy my red meat. So they are called hunters. They are now exploding onto our scene here. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
around. The deer ticks have a very dulled sensory system. And so they do something called questing. And
Huh.
questing is when they would perch themselves on the tip of a leaf or a tall grass, and they would basically wait for something to brush by. And they have little hooks. I don't know if you can see on the shirt.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Little hooks on the very ends of their front legs that act like Velcro. And so when they, can notice something coming, but they can only sit there and start to wave their arms around. And if anything comes by, they're stuck to them. And then they will begin to crawl up and search and get into your skin through your clothes or through under your clothes. And they will find a nice moist place.
Okay. Well, let's keep going because I got some other
Okay.
things. I wish I could talk to you for hours, but I want to get some more in.
You
You
got it.
did a TikTok video where you took a sheet, a white sheet or a pillowcase. Tell people quickly in Western Mass or Eastern Mass what you did.
Yeah, that's called flagging for ticks. And this is how people mainly collect ticks. And basically, I stapled a towel, a light colored towel, to a dowel. In this case, it was a garden hoe, the backside of a garden hoe. And basically, that video was at the end of February here in Massachusetts, and the adult ticks were active. So I just was waving it and dragging it across the brush. It was actually a brushy area on the side of a dog walking trail on conservation land. And it's funny because I did it on both sides, and only the sunny side, where the sun hit it in the morning, really had the ticks on it. So they were all concentrated on that side of the trail. And after only about 60 to 70 yards, I did pull off about 40 to 50 deer ticks.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah.
Another tick trivia. When they're babies, I guess they're called nymphs, right?
They're egg, larva, nymph, adult.
Okay. So what does a tick nymph look like on a person's skin?
Well, I'll show you even better. What do they look like in real life?
Okay.
And
Oh,
I don't,
no.
well, for those people who don't have video,
Okay.
they're wicked small.
Wicked small. That sounds very Boston-like. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you can see them.
Yeah. Somebody said they look like a little seed or something, right?
They're about the size of a poppy seed.
Oh, so you think you just got a seed, but you got a teenage tick.
Well, that's the problem. Even though, all right, so a tick has to get the germs from the things they feed on. So the older a tick is, the more times it's had a chance to feed, the more of a chance it contains infectious germs. So the nymphs being young are at much less of a percentage-wise of carrying disease, but more people get sick from them because they're so small and they're very hard to detect.
So we're out on the woods. Is there any kind of clothing that will help you be more tick repellent, or what do you do?
As far as clothing is concerned, my biggest recommendation, and some people prefer to stay away from the chemical products, but I am convinced that this product is the best.
Okay.
Or it's called permethrin, part of the pyrethroid family.
Oh, yeah.
Which was used back in the day for kids who had lice. It was in their shampoos, the same family of chemicals. But nowadays, you can get permethrin to a company called Insect Shield. And you apply it to your clothing only. It's not for your skin. And when it dries, it becomes non-water soluble. It will kill the ticks and not just repel them, which is really important.
All right. I've heard the expression that ticks are sometimes called germ-filled balloons. What does that mean?
Well, essentially, in the simplest terms, they're a squishy sac with a hollow tube that's sharp and barbed. And so if you think of it that way, they are more like a cesspool of a sack of germs. And so when they're feeding, they expand like a water balloon, filling up with your blood and spitting and sucking and spitting. So it's pretty gross, but that's how they can transfer or vector these harmful pathogens from themselves into your body. So you don't want to squeeze that body while
Thank
it's
you.
attached. You don't want to tear it open.
It's like this,
Exactly.
right?
You don't want to pop it, tear it open, or agitate it, or put heat or oil or anything else on it while it's attached to you.
So getting it removed, like with a tick tool like you have, is a smart thing to do.
Yeah, because if you use your fingers, some people are like, oh, I just use my fingers. I mean, listen, do whatever you want. I'm here to tell you that it's not a good idea because your fingers are fat compared to a tick, and you may possibly squeeze it or even tear it. And then now you have what I call yucky tick juice on your fingers near that bite site.
And you rub your eyes.
You can rub your eye, scratch your nose, any of that stuff, and it could potentially expose you to those risks.
A wives' tale, true or false? Let's just drown the tick in petroleum jelly. That'll work. Does it?
Yeah, it might work, but you're just agitating and poisoning and killing that tick while it's attached to you, which can't be good. What you want to do is pull that tick out, surprise it, pull it out. If the tick is wandering around and walking and is okay, you've done it right. But you don't want to find pieces of that tick or tear it.
How do you dispose of a removed tick safely?
Well, if it was removed from a human, I strongly suggest that you don't dispose of it.
Okay.
Save the tick. If you have a dog that's been getting tons and tons of ticks, it may not be so necessary to save the tick because I'm talking about sending it in for testing.
Okay, to make sure you don't have a tick-borne disease.
Well, just to make sure you know what's in that tick that bit you. Doesn't necessarily mean that whatever was in that tick is going to infect you, but it helps you and your physician make a decision on treating yourself if, in fact, you start to feel symptoms, because the onset of symptoms of most tick-borne illnesses are very similar to each other. And they will be fever, headache, fatigue, joint pain. Any of those symptoms can be a result of tick-borne illness. So what's nice to know is, since ticks can carry bacterium, viruses, and parasites.
Oh, wonderful. Trifecta.
Right. And you can get them from one bite. You can get all three. It's kind of rare, but they're called co-infections. And a bacteria is treated with antibiotics. Viruses are not treated pretty much with anything, just to make you feel better until it runs its course. But parasites are treated with other medications, not antibiotics, and, more like malarial drugs. So if you pull off a tick, you save it, you start to feel sick, you send it in, and it says negative for Lyme, but positive for Babesia.
I like that. Where do you send it?
I work with another University of Massachusetts here. They've actually, the tick lab that I sent to moved out of that umbrella, but is still located in the same town. It's called tickreport.com. And they will
report.com.
Yeah,
Good.
they'll send you an answer within 72 hours of receiving that tick. And the PCR testing is highly accurate.
I can just imagine you on an airplane, in an elevator, at a social gathering, and people are saying, so, Dan, what do you do for a living? I'm glad you don't say I sell insurance, because you probably nobody will talk to you. You must have to fend off people. You must be like a rock star when they know what you do.
When I was single, I have this phone. On the back of my phone is a ticket that says, please ask me about ticks. And what I would do is I'd, belly up to the bar. I'd leave it on the bar, in a very visible spot. And you could see people looking at it. And sometimes they would just kind of look and make a face. And then eventually, I don't know, maybe they have had a couple of drinks. They're like, all right, what is this? Ask me about ticks. And then we start up a conversation.
So how do people follow you? I could talk to you all day, but we got to wrap things up. How do people follow you, Dan Wolff, Tick Man Dan?
At Tick Man Dan. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok and YouTube. So I'm just building that up now, because once I had sold the previous company, I really had to start from scratch. So I am a content machine right now. So if you want information, it's best to go. And please, everybody, your best support could be through liking, following, subscribing.
Exactly.
Anything like that.
I'm going to do that for you. I hope you'll follow my YouTube channel, Arden Moore.
I already did.
Okay, we're already Facebook buds, I think, right?
Yep.
Okay. I just feel like I met a brother from a different mother. And I love that you are helping and using humor. So I'm serious, man. You've been one of my most favorite guests I've had in a tick, 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 long time.
Well, thank you so
And you
much.
ticked me off in a good way. What else can we say? Come on, throw some puns at me.
Tickled pink, and it's been a fantastic interview.
Oh my God.
Oh, let me tell you, if people want to contact me before I start charging, I have a tick line. It's 855-BAD-TICK. And I will answer that call, and I help people take the steps necessary to reduce their exposure any way I can. And I've been getting these calls for years now.
Well, I am so honored to have you on the show. Everyone, please check out Tick Man Dan. I also want at this time to salute my producer, Mark Winter. He is the executive producer of Pet Life Radio, all the shows. And everybody, check out Arden Moore, fourleggedlife.com, my YouTube channel. And you know what? He and I, Tick Man Dan, we both want to keep our pets safe. So check out my Pet First Aid for You. I'm a master instructor. I'm all about keeping pets safe. And I just found an ally in Tick Man Dan. So until next time, this is your tick-free host, Arden Moore. I did check my crevices.
Good.
This is your tick-free host, Arden Moore, saying just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave.
And take care, everybody.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's All Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.